Hey everyone, I'm just going to go over what we learned in class today and also cover a few of the tricks that I showed in class, like how to use your home keys on your computer to actually be a MIDI controller. We started exploring that today. I understand that not many of us have access to MIDI controllers, but you can actually use your actual computer keyboard to trigger different sounds. So we'll go over that and then also just show you how I've been organizing ideas in that's starting to coalesce into a song form of some kind. Just I would love for everybody to start organizing their musical ideas in rows, otherwise called scenes. And then from here, hopefully, we'll start seeing a song form emerge from your ideas. That's usually what happens and one of the nice things of using Ableton Session View. So let me show you what I have so far. This is an intro idea. And I'm going to just be mixing as we go along. Have you noticed that there are some parameters that seem to have a life of their own? Well, I actually did some recording of turning those knobs, remembering that A and B are sending a portion of your signal to two effects. One is reverb, which is the spaciousness of a room or a space. Imagine walking into a cave and hearing your voice reverberate and echo throughout the space. The second effect is delay, which is actually more of an echo effect. Let's see if we can hear that. Hopefully you heard different echoes coming back, and that's part of the delay effect. Okay, so looking at my session here, I have one note on the bass. Let's hear that. The way I made that is that I have just a really long MIDI note on a bass note. And then I added a MIDI effect that we talked about today, the arpeggiator, which can be found in MIDI effects right here. And I clicked and I dragged it onto my channel. You can drag it down here or drag it onto the channel here. And this is what's making it repeat, so I didn't have to draw any notes in. Let's look at the other things happening. This is my main sample, my main sequence that I'm using. This is what it looks like, and it's a guitar. I'm gradually playing with some of the parameters that they're giving me in the instrument as well. I'll play with a few others so you can hear what they do. A filter cutoff, which makes it brighter. Reverb, we talked about. Some of these devices actually have their own reverb. You can add some wobble to it. Each instrument has its own parameters that you can play with. Okay, so those are two things that I had that I thought would start well together. And then I introduced a drum beat. I'm using a hi-hat, some random other sounds, and a kick. This is what my instrument looks like. I could take the whole drum kit and use this pitch knob and change the pitch of the entire kit. That's pretty cool. I kind of like it lower. What do you think? Find a middle ground. Okay, and then I have this other drum kit. I'll start introducing it. I had a whole drum beat idea, but it was just too busy with everything else happening. So what I did was I selected a bunch of the MIDI that I thought I didn't really need, and I pressed 0. This is what it sounds like, the full beat. And it just felt a little too busy, so I dragged a net around it and pressed 0, which is just muting it, but it's not deleting it. And then I copied and pasted that, and then this next clip is the full beat. Below, you'll see little nodes, and each of these nodes represents the volume for each of the MIDI that's happening. So if I click on this kick, it's going to show me that this kick is related to this velocity node. If I take it down, you can see that the color of that MIDI sort of fades. If you want something to really pop out and be loud, try to take the velocity up. If everything was the same velocity, it would feel very robotic. I like this drum beat because it has a variety of velocity. Okay, I'm gonna play the full beat here because I introduced something new. Weird bell. Let's take a look at it. This is the instrument. Just try to notice what each of these knobs are doing to the sound. Each instrument is different. And here is my MIDI. Again, if we use the magnifying glass, we can zoom in to make this MIDI a little bit more readable. Or I can press this fold button and only see the notes that are being used. I put a ton of reverb and delay on it. This is what it was like before. Here's with a ton of reverb. And now I'm adding delay. What do you think? Okay, I made another version of the full beat. This time I added another little melody. It kind of has a bell quality. I put reverb and delay on it, and I moved it to my right ear. I've missed this earlier, but I also added something like a Rhodes, just one chord happening. And I put that more in our left ear, and I can put reverb and delay on it. Is this making sense so far? Okay, so hopefully we're getting this close with our beat and seeing how we can organize it. But now I promised to show you how to use your computer keyboard as a MIDI controller. So I have an instrument here that is a bass instrument, a Juno bass. I found it over in our instruments. I put in bass for my filter, and then I just went through, listened to a couple, and I found this one. So then I dragged it and put it on a MIDI channel, or dropped it right here where it says drop files and devices. Okay, so now I have this instrument and it's armed. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to press this little keyboard button. And this keyboard button Let's see what it says in the bottom left-hand corner. Computer MIDI keyboard. Enable this toggle to use your computer's keyboard to play notes into MIDI tracks. Very cool. So we're going to use this map, which I put it on our Brightspace online module that says making a sound and recording a MIDI clip. It will take you to this website that describes the process. But what's really important is this map. So I'm going to zoom in. So on my home key, these notes, the A, W, S, E, D, F, T, so on and so forth, are actually going to be turned into a musical keyboard. Before I go away from this to Ableton Live, I also want to point out that Z and X is going to move your instrument up and down in octaves, so higher or lower in pitch. That was a point of confusion for a few people today, and totally understandable. So I have an instrument, I have this button pressed. Now I'm going to press A on my computer keyboard. And I'm having some fun just playing around. It might be helpful to look at this map to see exactly what I'm playing. If I want to play a C and a G, I'm going to have to play A and G. So I'll try to remember that. Go back to Ableton Live. Cool. So now I'm playing. The next thing I'm going to do is add a MIDI effect to this instrument. This is not required. I just want to show you a fun way of playing. So I have an arpeggiator on. Now when I press the computer keyboard, it's going to repeat. And I don't have to press every time. It's just repeating for me. It's repeating at an eighth note. You can change this to be faster or slower. But let's keep it at an eighth note. If I play two notes, it's going up and then starting back over it and down, up, down, up. If I play multiple notes, you can start to see the pattern that the MIDI is going to follow up and then start at the bottom and go up again. You can choose other patterns for your MIDI. You can go up and down. Let's go fast with arpeggios up and down. That's kind of fun. If you get sick of holding your keys, you can press hold. Now I've let go. You can change the steps that it's moving from what you've played. There are lots of fun things to explore. So hopefully that's helpful. If you are interested in recording while playing your actual computer keyboard with the music, I would like to show you how to do that too. So let's see if I can jam out a part. Just gonna take some things down. Okay, I think I have an idea. It's pretty simple. Okay, I have an idea. So I'm going to turn on the metronome for myself. I'm going to turn the metronome volume down a little bit. Let's see, I'd like to give myself a 1-bar count-in. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, record. And let's drop on in. I'm armed with this instrument. I'm ready to play my notes. We're going to hear a 4-click count and then I'm going to play. And then I'm done. Okay, I made a little bit of a dub bass line. I'm going to double click on this clip to see what I did. This is what I just recorded. my first thing I'm going to do is make sure that it is set for the appropriate amount of bars. I really want this to be 8 bars long, and it looks like I pressed spacebar at the correct time because it says right here length 8 bars, and I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you went earlier or later than 8 bars and you wanted to keep it at 8 bars, you can look for this icon, which is like a bracket, and that's going to be your loop end point. So I wanted to end right at the beginning of bar 9. So this whole musical phrase is 8 bars. I'm going to zoom in. Remember, you can pinch on your laptop, or you can find a magnifying glass and zoom in. It looks pretty on. I don't want this to feel robotic. Some of these notes are a little bit off, so maybe I would like to go through the process of quantization. For quantization, again, we're perfecting the human rhythmic errors by having the notes magnetized to the grid in a more rhythmic way. So I can select all. You can select all by dragging a net around, or you can press, on my computer it's Command A. And then I'm going to right click, and I'm just going to select quantize right away and see what it does. Let me undo and redo that again and zoom in to see what it does. So right click, quantize. Did you see these snap into place? Quantize. And if you'd like to go into quantize settings, it will open it up on the left hand side. We're looking for, let me just close these screens so we can focus our eyes. Quantize. You can do 100%. You can change what type of grid you want to quantize to. And let's say I wanted to quantize to a 16th grid. Let's see how that sounds. I'll put the metronome on. See, that threw my rhythm off, didn't it? And if something like that happens where quantization throws the tempo that you played off, you can always press, on my computer it's Apple Z or Command Z. On a Windows, you can always undo anything that you're doing in Ableton Live by pressing Control Z. So I'm just going to go back a few. So I see that I wanted to play, these are all a little bit late. Let me show you how to do this manually now. I'm just going to drag it a little bit earlier. I know this is going to be at the beginning. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, let me just fix this one really quick. Two, three, very, very close. Do you see how you can move your rhythm around? Okay, let's see what that sounds like with everything all together. I'll turn the metronome off. Let's play with the sound a little bit. Cool. How is it going to end? I'm just practicing. So I still need to think about how I want this song to end, but it's definitely coming together in a way that's showing me how it wants to build, what the peak of the build is, keeping things interesting with different parts, um, not just all the same thing every time. And there's even room for much more variation in this. I hope this has been helpful. I hope you enjoy using your computer keyboard as a MIDI controller. I think that's one of the coolest things. And if you have any more questions about that, please refer to this very helpful article on making sound and recording a MIDI clip in Ableton Live, or reach out to me personally. I can't wait to hear all the music that you all are going to create this semester. All right, take care.